Well, hi there. You're watching and or listening to North of Weatherfield, a Canadian Coronation Street podcast.
And this week we are talking about episodes that aired in Canada from August 19th to August 23rd, 2024.
So,
if you haven't seen those yet and you want to catch up by actually watching it yourself, go away for now.
Yeah, that's a good idea. My name's Brittlestar.
My name's Shannon.
These aren't our real names, of course. Our real names this week are... Who are you going to be?
Mrs. Connor. I mean, my Tyrone. I mean, I just don't know. And Hope. I mean, Ruby. I just
Fizz?
Yeah, she's always like, my everybody.
Well, she makes a good cheese and onion pie. That's all I know. I'm going to do, I'll do... I didn't know I didn't know anyone was there. I'm just really tall and apparently still really young. And I just didn't know that he was
supposed to be Jack?
Yeah.
Jack's voice is deeper than yours is.
Just in my regular voice?
Yes.
Yeah, probably. Okay, so let's talk about a few things. A number of things happened.
Yes.
And again, I was in charge of notes.
Yes.
So, Godspeed to us all. Let's start with Jack.
Yes.
What happened to our Jack? Our Jack, he ended up getting into a bit of trouble this week because he started a fire.
He came clean because Kevin had tried to take the blame for the fire being started.
Yeah, so
it was
to recap. He started a fire. There's a fire at Stefan's, who is the father of Corey Brent. Started a fire. There was a fire rather at his office, which started in his car. Stefan's in the hospital, but he's probably going to be okay.
Is he in the hospital?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
He's probably going to be okay, but it's obviously very serious.
Yes.
Initially, D.S. Swain, because she's the only cop, her and Craig.
Exactly.
And Kit now, I guess.
Yeah, right. There's 3.
They've expanded the force.
Plus, there's the guy who's always in on every interview now, but has not yet had a line.
Yeah, we'll see if he ever gets one. Jack, initially D.S. Swain said that she suspected it was Abby and Kevin.
Yes.
And then they were like, nope, it's not going to be Abby and Kevin. And they found out it couldn't have been them. And they had CCTV and they found essentially Jack had gone, set fire to Stefan's car. The fire spread up to the building, which was parked beside. And that's how it all happened. That's basically what happened. Then, Jack came clean.
Yes. Wasn't that last week?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Jack gets interviewed by Adam with his lawyer, and D.S. Swain's like, well, we're going to charge you with arson with intent to endanger life.
Right.
So that's a very serious charge. So how do we feel about... First of all, we've talked about this last week. No one is addressing the fact that Jack is doing all this with a fake leg, which is impressive. That's really commendable.
Yeah.
To be an arsonist and
I would like them to. I don't know that I know anybody who has a prosthetic limb, but I feel like it would be a good service to bring this up again to let people know, hey, when teenagers have big growth spurts like Jack, you need to get them a new prosthetic.
It's a whole thing.
Because, I don't know, is that covered on the NHS?
I know,
Probably.
I'm not making fun of it. I'm saying it was a huge storyline and it's just kind of like, stop.
I feel like the fact that this kid grew a foot in 6 months, maybe we could bring it up again.
To be clear, he didn't grow a foot. He grew a foot.
You're 30 centimeters.
Exactly. But yeah, so he's basically turned himself in. He's going to get sentenced. He hasn't been sentenced yet. The most interesting part about this whole thing, because I'm really not that interested in Jack that much.
Well, no, but I like that. So I'm not interested in Jack and the arson and the Stefan thing because I was kind of over the whole Stefan thing before.
Yeah.
This hasn't roped me back in any way. Although the actor who plays Stefan must be like, come on, guys, put him back on
Yeah. Yeah.
But now we're moving to Jack and Hope.
Right.
Potentially being a couple. So that's going to maybe have...
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's the most interesting part to me is the fact that Hope overheard Fizz and Tyrone talking about how Jack started the fire. Mm-hmm. And in comic book style, Hope was like, arsonist, you say?
Yep. Yep.
Handsome young lad.
Yeah.
So then she suddenly becomes interested in Jack. And
because, of course, Hope has a history of at least twice starting significant fires on purpose.
Significant fires, little fire starter. So to continue with Hope. So Hope, of course, she's coming into her own. How old is she supposed to be now?
I think 14? They said 13.
13.
And she's going to be 14 this fall.
So she's coming into her own, and it's pretty fun, and she's a pretty great character because she is just pure evil.
It's not pure evil, but considering she's only 13, she's a long way there.
Evil.
Yes.
She's largely evil.
Yes.
So then she actually goes to the point where she's so interested in Jack and his new bad boy image. Wait till she finds out he only has one leg.
It's a small community. She will know.
That's true. But she's probably forgotten like everybody else, though.
Maybe.
But she breaks up with Sam.
Yes.
And then, which I thought was a good sort of indicator of her age.
Yeah.
She went to the doctor, to Dr. Gadass, and asked to go on the pill.
Yeah.
And I thought this is the kind of thing that young women of that age probably do. Like that seemed true to form.
I liked
not all of them. Obviously.
I liked that scene with Dr. Gadass because I like that, and they sort of emphasized as they were going along. Hope being 13, she's allowed to make her own appointment at the doctor.
Yeah,
she's allowed to go see the doctor in confidence about things like this. I like that Dr. Gadass was at first surprised by the request, but then was like, "Okay, so are you sexually active?" And the answer is no. And it's like, well, okay, when you're 13, there's no point in being on the pill if you're not sexually active because it's a medication. A lot of stuff comes along with it.
Exactly. There's some downsides.
And so I like that. And the fact then that Dr. Gadass was like, I'm going to give you some condoms and a leaflet, but I really want you to talk to your parents. And if I were a parent of a young girl, it's like, even though it would be traumatic to be hearing about all of this stuff as a parent, that's exactly what you want to happen. So I like that. I like that it was showing, hey, parents, if you have a 13-year-old daughter, buckle up because you're coming into all this stuff.
Yeah, totally. And I also thought it was interesting. I thought it was probably pretty true, the reaction that Tyrone and Fizz had to finding out.
Oh, yeah.
Because Ruby and Hope are tussling. And it turns out it's Ruby's purse that Hope has borrowed along with her mom's shoes to look more grown up.
Yeah.
And the purse gets spilled, and then the condom package falls out, and then Fizz and Tyrone come in, and they're irate.
Oh, as a parent, you'd be horrified. That's totally separate from the fact that also as a parent, I'm glad the doctor did what she did.
I mean, exactly. Dr. Gaddis did nothing wrong. If anything, Dr. Gaddis did the exact perfect thing you should do. Like she has confidentiality. Listen, I'm not here to rat you out.
Yeah.
I'm here to make sure you're healthy and okay.
Yeah.
That's it. And I did like Tyrone picking up the package of condoms and going with these and threw them down like he had never seen one before in his life and never even considered it.
I like that it's immediately clear, although it was Ruby's bag, whose they were in there because Ruby saw them and went, ew.
But Ruby's supposed to be the same age, right?
Yeah.
But she's just not.
She's not there yet.
She's not there yet. She's not there yet.
Yeah. I mean, Hope's not there yet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So speaking of Fizz, she's planning a getaway with Tyrone.
I think the whole family.
It might have been the whole family.
Yeah.
Hope finds Fizz planning the holiday on the laptop. I don't know what happened to that storyline after that.
Nothing really. So Hope had found out about it, but nothing was booked yet.
No, so it was kind of a non-starter.
Yeah, So I'm guessing it's still going to happen because they've still got over a month left of summer holidays in England. So
yeah. But the more interesting thing is that, of course, we know that Alina is probably coming back for this trial. Alina being Tyrone's bit of stuff on the side.
Of previous. Actually, no, bit of stuff on the side, but then became his official bit of stuff. Yeah, they were, he broke up with Fizz.
Yeah, exactly. And the last we saw her, she was leaving and it seemed evident that she was pregnant.
Heading back to
Romania.
Yes, I was going to say Poland, Romania.
And so Fizz has kind of been dreading this. I think Tyrone's aware of it too. Yes, he is, isn't he?
No, I don't think he's aware
that she's coming back.
No, because there was an article in the paper about the guy who was doing the trafficking of Alina and other young women at the nail salon. Yeah. He was going to trial.
Yeah.
So Fizz was speculating that Alina might be coming back to testify.
Right.
I don't think Tyrone knows anything about any of this.
Tyrone doesn't trust mainstream media.
That's probably.
But anyway, Fizz, all that to say, Fizz goes to the grocery store and ends up crossing paths with Alina. And she's back for the trial. They have this very fine, cordial exchange between each other.
Yeah.
Alina's balancing a whole bunch of stuff, and then Alina drops her phone, and Fizz goes to pick it up for her and sees the screensaver, which is a picture of Alina with a kid.
Yes.
And she says,
a 4-year-old or something.
The kid's that's my nephew. But it's evidently Tyrone's. That's what we feel, right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Exactly. I'm interested to see that because I do like Alina.
I do too.
Because she is, sure, she muscled in and stole a man, but she's also had tremendous adversity.
Listen, it's Coronation Street. She didn't murder anyone.
That's true. She's doing fine.
Yeah. Plus, she looks way more like Katie Holmes than I remembered.
She does look like Katie Holmes. Yeah. Despite that, I still like her. I'm just trying to connect a little pathway here for stories. So, of course, the big story as well was Lauren.
Yes.
And Joel.
Yes.
So Lauren has gone to the police station to get, and we saw before the start of this week, at the end of the previous week, we saw Joel seeing Lauren in the police station.
Yes.
We didn't know why
when he was there to meet a client.
He couldn't find out right away, so he was panicked, getting a little freaked out. Turns out she just went back to get her stuff.
Yes, they've called her to tell her that
you can come pick up your belongings.
Your stuff. Yeah.
So that's no worries for him. He said he's got the money for her flat in Ireland. He said he found her a bed sit, which is just a room,
like a room in a
boarding house, almost.
Yes, like the olden days of Airbnb, of B&B rather.
Yeah. Then it wasn't this week, but the week previous, she got mugged.
Okay.
And she was a bit freaked out by that. Nothing really came of that. Like they stole her phone.
Well, what came of it was that she now didn't have her phone and didn't have her keys to the flat.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And didn't have any of her ID. So she was powerless.
And Joel had paid the kid to steal Lauren's bag.
And then we see him dump the bag in a bin.
Yeah. And he just wants the phone and the keys.
Yeah. I don't even know if he took them. I think he just dumped them.
Did he keep the phone?
I think he dumped everything.
I thought he kept the phone and the keys because I thought he wanted to keep the phone so they could get into her email if he could.
I mean, maybe he just assumes he can't do that because, if Max can't do it, nobody can.
Yeah, exactly. But of course, as we know as well, he'd ordered that drug online that's going to cause a miscarriage for Lauren. And that package arrives when Dee Dee's at the front door. And Dee Dee's like, who the hell's E. Smith? But signs for the package. They get the package. And then Joel says, oh, no, it's for a client of mine.
Yeah.
And she's in an abusive relationship. And so Dee Dee thinks he's a really good guy.
Yeah.
And that it's all good. So Joel gets the drug. He takes it over to the apartment. He's trying to be a really nice guy, Mr. Nice Guy to Lauren. And he crushes it up the drug, the pills, and puts it in soup.
Yeah, so he goes over because she's just been mugged. And as far as she knows, it's a random mugging. And so he's like, okay, this is very traumatic for you. I'll calm you down. And it's not good for the baby. And here I've bought some tomato soup. It's your favorite. And I'm going to make it for you. And you're going to eat it, young lady, because you need your strength. And yes, meantime, he's crushing up these pills to induce a miscarriage.
So then she eats the soup eventually. She goes along through, sort of stops and starts, doesn't quite eat, and then eats the soup.
Mm-hmm.
And then Joel leaves and locks her in the apartment.
Yes.
In his old apartment.
Because it's that
weird system where you can lock people in from outside. That's weird.
Yeah, that apartment to me seemed...
It's a fire hazard.
It is. And that apartment to me seemed too... Like, I wouldn't think that an apartment that new could be like that. I get that Lauren's old apartment she had, where the back door... Remember, she tried to flee out the back door after Joel beat her up.
Yeah.
But it was locked from the inside.
Yeah.
That was an old dungy, rundown dump of an apartment. I can't believe Joel's, 10-year-old apartment?
Has that? Yeah, it seemed bad.
Anyways, good plot device. That and basically not having your phone.
Yeah.
2 Coronation Street favorites.
Yeah, totally. So Lauren doubles over in pain. She's collapses by the door. She can't get out. She hears someone come up the stairs. She screams for help. It turns out it's Max. Max has figured out where she is because of she used the taxi app.
So he saw her after she'd been mugged, and so he got her a taxi to get home. Yeah. And
then ends up calling the fire brigade. The fire brigade break down the door, which we don't see, which would have been cool. Just saying. Would have been cool.
A lot of extras to pay for.
That's true. And they take her to hospital. She ends up having the baby prematurely at the hospital. Joel finds out. Well, first of all, hears that she's in the hospital and goes, "Oh, that's a shame. I guess she lost the baby."
Yeah.
And I think it was Dee Dee's like, "Well, what makes you think that?" He's like, "Oh, well, just the stress and stuff." And he's like, no, the baby's fine. The baby's not fine, but the baby's premature.
Baby's very, very premature.
They're doing all right.
I think she was about 5 or 6 months along in her pregnancy.
6 months along. Yeah, 6 months along. But she has the baby. Baby's being taken care of. Lauren's doing okay. Joel is not happy.
No, he's not doing okay
with this.
Yeah.
Because all of his little house of Jenga, I guess house of cards is the proper.
Yep.
His little house of cards is starting to wobble.
Yes.
Getting pretty
tenuous. So the baby being around was going to be a problem in 3 and a bit months. Now it's a problem immediately. Plus the baby is really touch and go.
Because his initial first thing was he wanted to get his initial not terrible thing was he wanted to get her into Ireland, out of the country into Ireland so that she could have the baby somewhere else. And it was she was just dealt with. Then he was like, what would be even better than that is if I got rid of the baby and her somehow. But
he also seems to be suffering a lot of guilt because he does have some redeeming qualities and he feels absolutely horrible that he seems to be very aware that this is his baby.
Yeah.
Which when she was pregnant, it seemed to be his problem, not his baby. And now it's his baby. And he's apologized to the baby. He's been crying.
I know. So he goes into the hospital, ends up sort of talking and trying to manipulate Lauren and seemingly ends up getting her to delete the scheduled email that she had set up to go, the doomsday email.
So Lauren had set something up so that if Joel got rid of her when he was supposed to be sending her to Ireland, and if he just offed her, an email would automatically be sent out to DS Swain saying, Joel's the one who attacked me and blah, he is the father of the baby.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. But he seemingly manipulates her into deleting the email. And I say seemingly because I think that
if I were her, I'd have just set it for a different date in the future.
Yeah, sure, it's deleted. Yeah, whatever. But then Lauren says, I've named the baby Francis.
Yes.
After my grandfather.
Yeah.
And Joel goes, oh God, my grandfather's name was Francis as well. And now there's suddenly that connection.
Yes.
And then he goes in to see the baby in the...
Baby Frankie
in the little incubator thingy. And he goes into that and there's that immediate, as soon as I saw him going, I was like, you're done for. You can't, there's no way you can walk in there, see a baby that is yours and not feel some sort of connection immediately. And And of course he does, and he feels terrible. And then he feels like a terrible person, and he backs out of the room, and he's losing his mind. Then Dee Dee comes in and sees him crying, but doesn't know why.
Yeah. Yes. Because he had told Dee Dee suggested the two of them go to the hospital that day. And he said, no, we'll let Lauren have some time on her own.
Yeah.
But really, he just wanted to make sure Dee Dee wasn't going to be there so he could go there.
Yeah.
But then she ended up coming anyways and sort of catching him. Yes.
So yeah, he manipulates her and says he can't help her unless she deletes the email. She says she's going to do that. Apparently, she accepts the offer of help. And then we have D.S. Swain coming in to visit her as well.
Yeah, so D.S. Swain overhears Max and Bobby, because Max and Bobby went and saw Lauren in the hospital.
Yeah.
And then they were talking in the calf about how Lauren had the baby, and D.S. Swain overheard.
Yeah.
And so she's like, oh, is that Lauren?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So D.S. Swain goes in and asks Lauren to get the baby's DNA tested.
Yes.
To prove that it was Nathan Curtis who did it.
Because then Lauren wouldn't have to testify.
It would just be science.
It would just be a fact.
Yeah. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
But she's like, maybe we'll see. Of course, Joel's like, no, we're not going to do this.
Yeah.
We're not going to do this. We're absolutely not going to do this. But we'll see.
Yeah. So D.S. Swain is entrusting Joel and Dee Dee, thinking this is great. There's some older, responsible people in Lauren's life, saying, try to persuade her over the next little bit to get the DNA test done. And Joel's like, oh, yes, of course I will. But obviously not so much. Yeah.
So then what I quite like is D.S. Swain, who I wasn't really big on as a character when she started.
No, she's good.
But she's coming into her own.
Yeah.
She's interesting now. She's got some layers.
We get to see her not just in work mode now, which I think helps.
Great.
Yeah.
And also there's like that line is blurring between work mode and not work mode.
Yes. Listen, it only took Kit 1 week to blur those lines.
That's true. Exactly. But then all that to say, Betsy, young Betsy, ends up getting caught she gets in trouble because she stole 2 sandwiches out of the cabin.
Yeah.
Not the cabin.
Yeah.
Deb's
the shop.
place, the shop.
Yeah.
Deb's DNS. Is that what it's called? DNS?
Yeah, I think so. DNS Allahan.
Yeah. And she gets in trouble as her mom's picking her up for a ride. Addie comes out and says, hey, you owe me 8 pounds for those sandwiches. And then says, hey, she stole sandwiches.
Addie just recognizes her purely as the girl who stole from him.
Yeah.
He's not seen her yet on the street.
Yeah.
So yes, she's getting into her mom's car.
And Addie calls her out, says, you stole the sandwiches. D.S. Swain's all apologies. She gives him the 8 pounds. But behind this interaction is Joel. And Joel sees
literally behind. He's sitting in his
car. And he's now making the connection that Betsy, who he's also kind of messing around with, because Betsy thinks that she's playing Joel. Joel thinks you're just one more young girl that I have to deal with.
Yeah. Betsy's trying to hold it over. She's like basically calling him out for the fact that he likes young blonde girls. And also we saw Joel on his phone in between going to see Lauren and the baby and getting threatening texts, blackmail texts from Betsy.
Yeah.
We see him scrolling through more young thin blonde women on whatever.
So I haven't figured out yet. Like initially, he wasn't even really interested in Betsy. It was Betsy and Sabrina was their first interaction when he offered the drink.
Well, Sabrina wasn't there with the drink thing. So he
Yes, she was.
No, she left. Betsy was the only one there when Joel offered her the flask.
I'm pretty sure Sabrina, someone tell me in the comments that I'm right. Even if I'm not, just say that. But I'm pretty sure Sabrina was there, took the drink.
I think Joel was, so I don't think Lauren was back yet when Joel was first starting to, as the Brits would say, sniff around Betsy. So I think he was just ready to move on to the next bit on the side.
My impression was he wasn't that interested in Betsy initially, but then kind of was like, oh, yeah, you're also young and blonde.
I think he's not necessarily, interested isn't the right word.
No.
He just
sort of conquest, isn't it?
He just has a need for someone to have power and control over. And
but D.S. Swain, of course, Betsy's her daughter. Joel now knows that, realizes this is a further complication. His house of cards is wobbling even more. And then separate from that, Betsy and Dia Swain, her mom, don't have a good relationship. Her mom's trying. Betsy is a problem child.
Yes.
And to the point where even Betsy and Mason are hanging out in the cafe, and Betsy shoves past her mom.
Yes, on the way out.
On the way out. Yeah. And doesn't say anything to her mom.
Well, no, but Fizz calls her out on it. And then Fizz calls Betsy out on it.
Yeah.
For behaving like that. And then DS Swain, automatic parent reaction.
Says, hey, don't talk to my kid that way.
She doesn't say my kid.
Right.
No, because Fizz knows Betsy from work. Fizz does not know.
Right. Yeah. But it's DS Swain's daughter.
Carla and Joel seem to be the only people currently who know the two of them and their relationship.
How do you feel about all this? Like, I like when Coronation Street does this, but how do you feel about Betsy becoming this like linchpin in all these little stories?
I think I like the actor.
She's great.
I think she's good. And she does a good job of being a 16, 17-year-old brat who's bored on summer holidays.
Yeah.
So we didn't talk about the fact that Betsy was also part of this counterfeit ring.
Well, this is my next point.
Okay.
See, look at it right here. It says in my notes, Beth and Betsy. Okay. There you go.
Can we bring up the fact, though, before we get off the Joel thing? That Lauren was being very dismissive and unappreciative of everything Joel was doing for her in the hospital. And he basically got angry at her and said, you don't have the power you think you do.
Yeah.
And he sort of tore into her and
it's when he pushed her leg down on the bed and then sat down and put his arm across her.
Yeah.
She couldn't get out and couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And she had threatened to be like, well, are you going to stick around while I pump milk?
Yeah.
And he basically called her bluff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was interesting seeing him realize he needs to try to take back his power over Lauren.
I don't know if it's going to work.
And I don't think it's possible. I think especially because Lauren is now being put in a sort of young mother's unit.
Yeah.
And that goes along with, I think it's maybe to do with young and to do with the baby's in a vulnerable position because the baby won't be able to leave hospital for a long time. So that's not good news for Joel because there's going to be
she's sticking around
social workers or nurses or some people there, basically allowing Lauren to build a bit of a trust network again. And then the fact that Max and Bobby are back on the scene.
Yes. Yeah. And Max and Bobby I'm appreciating Bobby in this incarnation.
He's being very sensible.
He's toned it down a bit.
Yep. Dialed it back.
He's a little less waka waka.
Yep.
Yeah. He seems like a good friend. I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I think in that scene where Joel put his arm across her and called her bluff about pumping milk while he was there, like, you don't want to be here while I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. Could she have not just called his doubled down, lifted her shirt up? Not that she would have in the show. Lifted her shirt up and started pumping milk. Except
that,
especially in that position, he wouldn't want to have someone come in when he's like leaning right over like that.
Yeah, but then I think, she's too vulnerable doing that.
Yeah.
Now,
I guess so.
She literally could have just screamed.
Yeah.
That's what she should have done, if anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When will Lauren learn? Only listen to us.
She just gave birth 2 days ago to a premature baby.
That's true.
She's got a lot going on.
But anyway, as we were talking about Betsy, D.S. Swain's daughter, and Joel's potential next target. Even though she
current blackmailer of Joel.
Yeah, who's also trying to blackmail him back.
Mm-hmm.
She's blackmailing him back, and then he is just trying to shut her up, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. But she's working with Beth in Underworld, along with Izzy, to do these T-shirts that Beth's been doing at night, moonlighting.
Counterfeit
T-shirts in the factory and using the machines and stuff. To make some extra money for what she says is her wedding with Kirk. But we're not positive that's necessarily the thing.
I think it is. You're doubtful. So? I think
I'm a little doubtful.
Yeah.
Anyway, Carla comes in one morning early And Beth, Betsy, and Izzy are still in the factory because they've spent an all-nighter there. And she's like, what's going on? And Beth and Izzy are like, oh, we're just helping Betsy
learn a new machine or something.
Yeah, just teaching her our skills. And Carla's like, I'm not sure.
She kind of half buys it.
Half buys it because she's like, I don't want to bother. They send off the order of fake t-shirts, a box of fake t-shirts. It's stuck in the back, sort of hidden in the back, but Kirk figures it's part of a shipment. Kirk sends it out to be delivered to a client. Carla gets a call from the person.
The client.
Saying, listen, there's a bunch of fake t-shirts. I didn't order these.
So it just says that we have a box of t-shirts here.
Yeah, a box of t-shirts.
And Carla's like, we don't make t-shirts. Can't be from us.
Yeah.
And he's like, yep, it is.
It is from you. Exactly. So then Carla confronts Beth. Just Beth? Or was it Beth, Izzy, and Betsy? It was Beth, Izzy, and Betsy.
Yeah.
The three of them. And Beth plays indignant.
Yep.
And Beth ends up saying she's had enough of being falsely accused. She quits Underworld.
Yeah.
However,
she won't apologize.
She won't apologize.
Or back down. Yeah.
And Betsy's stum, and so is Izzy. Not saying anything.
Yeah.
Izzy's literally saying no comment.
Yes.
Every question.
Yes.
No comment. No comment. I do like how they've made Izzy kind of thick. Like a little simple.
Yeah.
She's just like, because she was like quite
Izzy's
knowledgeable and wise, and now she's just kind of a bit ditzy.
Yes. I don't even think it's ditzy.
Izzy. That's what we'll call it. Dizzy
I don't even think it's ditzy. I think there's a reason Izzy wasn't the mastermind behind this. Either Betsy or Beth could be the mastermind behind this counterfeit operation.
Sure.
Izzy is just going to be the one who is going to come in and do some of the work for you.
Yeah, exactly. So Beth quits Underworld, but then the t-shirts end up getting sent back.
So the client sends the t-shirts back.
Beth intercepts the shipment as it comes back in.
With Izzy,
Yeah. Then gets it to the guy who hired her to make the counterfeit t-shirt.
Yes, because this guy has promised her. So she said to this guy, will you hire me just to do this now that I've lost my job? And he says, well, listen, you still owe me a box of t-shirts that you lost.
Yeah.
So you have to get those to me first.
And so she does.
And so when the box comes back in, she's like, yoink.
Yeah, she grabs the box and the guy's like, yeah, okay, I'll give you another job type of thing. But as she's giving the box over to the guy in the ginnel.
Yeah.
It wasn't in the ginnel. It was just an alley.
Just a bit of an alleyway.
Close.
Yeah.
And Craig and
Kit.
Tink and Kit.
Yes.
Walk by at that time, see Beth getting paid for the counterfeit t-shirts, come over and go,
a box of stuff, a dodgy looking guy, and a big whack
here?
of cash in mid transition.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So she's rumbled. The guy's rumbled. She's rumbled, basically.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I figured for sure that Kit was just going to be like, well, we're turning you in. And then it was going to put Craig into it. Craig's going to get in trouble.
He likes power more than
he does.
Yep.
All that to say that Kit eventually basically sort of says to Craig, hey, listen, what's the deal with your mom and these stupid t-shirts? And Craig's like, well, she says she's stupid, but she's not going to do it again. And I've read her the riot act. And Kit says, okay, let's let it slide for this time. I'm not really worried about this right now. We'll just that's fine. Kit ends up going back to the counterfeit t-shirt guy.
Because he obviously, as part of they didn't arrest
counterfeit t-shirt guy.
Or Beth.
But
they obviously took down their info and they unofficially confiscated the t-shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brings the t-shirts back to the guy. Says, there you go. Sell them. I want half.
Yeah.
So Kit's rotten to the core.
Plus,
just like his mother.
Plus, sell them. I get half. Plus, you're not to have anything to do with Beth anymore.
So he's protecting Craig.
Or he's cutting Beth out of the equation.
But in a sense, he's kind of protecting her.
I don't think so.
You think he's?
I think he's worried that Beth will rat him out.
Yeah, that's probably a good point.
So here's my before the rumbled by the coppers.
Yeah.
Here's my thought.
Okay.
When Beth got fired.
Yeah.
Because it seems like these t-shirts are a good money maker.
Yeah.
Like meaning her doing that on her own in daytime hours, she could make as much money as she was at Underworld, at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my thought when she was fired was, take your wedding savings money and go buy yourself an industrial sewing machine.
Yeah.
Set up at home.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So she's cut out. Beth's cut out. She goes back to Carla, asks for her job back. Carla is very sarcastic, and she's like, "You're not getting your job back."
Yeah.
That's where we've left off.
Except we know she'll eventually get her job back.
Well, because she's integral.
And she's a grafter. She's good. She's good. A good machinist.
Good grafter, exactly.
Yeah.
So we're going to speed through here for some other stuff. So I'm just making sure I'm not missing it. There's that, which is sadness personified. That's where we're at. So Paul,
yes,
of course, not dead yet.
No.
He wants to donate his eyes.
Yes. So I think he wanted to donate all his organs.
And they're like, you can't.
Yeah.
You got M&D.
It's possible that cornea can be done.
But your cornea might be okay.
Yeah.
Paul ends up asking Asha, because she's pretty much a doctor. Now.
But I did like that. So Asha was over with Summer, which made sense.
6 months of training.
Yeah. But I did like that she was like, I know someone we can ask.
Yeah, that was good.
Also,
like,
someone could have just pulled
I don't
up
know,
Google.
but I'm going to ask them. But then the person she asked was just a medical student as well.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, better than nothing.
Yeah.
But still.
Hopefully the medical student also.
She tells him that she finds out and she tells him that he can donate his organs to M&D research.
Yes.
So he can't, his eyes and stuff are no good, and his organs, like, it's too dodgy, it's too questionable.
Yeah.
But they can donate it to research, and then they can find out more and maybe help save people.
Yes.
Which is good. So he's happy about that.
Yes.
Which is good.
Yes.
Bernie,
not so much.
Yes. I keep calling her Bertie. Bertie's the kid.
Yeah. Bernie very upset about, even when it was just the corneas being donated.
Which is understandable.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when my dad died, we came back to the house and the hospital called and said, can we have your dad's eyes? And my mom kind of like didn't know what to do, obviously, but we weren't prepared for that.
It would have been nice if they'd started that conversation.
A quiet word from the doctor and nurse and said, listen, consider this, get this in your head. Because I would have been in a much better position than to say, if you think they're good, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. But when
he's not needing
them.
But
when it's like now or never.
It was terrible. It was like, I remember being on the phone.
And he died like an hour before you guys had just arrived home.
I remember saying, no, he had Parkinson's and dementia. They're probably not very good. And I was like, well, I'm not qualified.
Yeah.
So I understand where Bernie's coming from. She's obviously very upset. And she's, it's a terrible, terrible thing to think about. It's obviously a very good thing to do, but a really big thing to process. In your
head. All the more reason, side note here, people, if you feel strongly about organ donation, let your loved ones know.
That's true.
As well as doing your license thing or whatever.
I might have said yes to science as well for mine.
Your whole body.
Yeah.
Well, save a bit of money.
Exactly. See? I get to spend it on my deathbed, though, that money. Savings. But Paul and Bernie have this heart-to-heart where he tells her about the day he was going to overdose.
Yes.
Where he was going to end it.
Yes.
Basically. And he kind of comes clean, and they kind of reset their relationship.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Because I don't like Bernie, but she shouldn't be wasting time.
I don't mind Bernie, but yeah. There's only limited time left.
Yeah, exactly. And then Bernie puts Paul's pills down the sink.
Yeah, I didn't like that bit. First of all,
irresponsible.
That's not stuff to put down the sink.
That's right. Don't put those pills down the sink.
Have to get rid of dangerous medications, bring them back to a pharmacy.
Yeah. Moving on from there, Kevin, of course, is in trouble because Stefan has given the police the video of Kevin ransacking Stefan's office. He hands himself over to the police, tries to confess for the fire as well. And they're like, nah. And they ends up getting community service for his rifling through the office. Yeah. They didn't actually steal anything apart from the phone.
He stole a phone. He did steal something.
But he didn't. It was his first time stealing stuff. He
Yeah.
wasn't very good yet.
I get the whole not wanting to send someone to jail who has a business and a family and everything.
Sure.
But I hope he got a lot of community service hours, because if you get someone who's 50 odd who decides to start breaking and entering, this isn't like, I found a wallet in the ground and I'm going to keep the money.
Yeah.
Breaking and entering at night into a desk and stealing a personal device with a lot of information, that's big.
Yeah.
Like, what's next? arson.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something. All right. It's something. Some miscellaneous character stuff that happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really a big storyline yet.
Yeah.
Stu gives Mason a job.
Mm-hmm.
Speed doll. Yasmin upset about it.
Yeah.
He tells Sean and Dylan they're not happy.
No.
About it either.
Can I say, Sean, job well done redecorating Lauren's flat.
Did a great job.
Yep.
Did a great job. Sean and Dylan aren't happy. Gary Windess finds out not happy.
Yeah.
Dylan finds out not happy.
Yes, because
no one's happy.
No one's happy. Gary is about to go on a murderous rampage again.
I understand that Stu wants to give Mason a second chance because he's kind of been there, but also Mason's not ready for a second chance.
Plus, if you really want to help someone, Stu, there's so many people.
If you're listening, Stu,
there's so many people you can help, meaning team up with an organization that helps newly released, I guess they're not convicts anymore, but whatever.
Yeah.
Like there's many other things you can do instead of this one.
Well, he'll get his just desserts because, of course, Betsy is telling Mason to take Stu for all he's worth.
Yes.
Like, just take as much money as you're going to get from the guy.
Yeah.
And move on. So we'll see what happens. Toya learns that her cancer is only in one ovary so far as we know.
Yeah.
So hope that she's going to be all right, which is interesting. If she skates through this,
they're never going to see Leanne again.
Why would they?
Yeah.
Exactly. She's nothing but a hassle.
Yeah.
And then we've covered everything else. Let's do our quotations. I've got 3 quotations that I quite liked. One is Joel.
Okay.
When he responded, I can't remember exactly what the reference was. I think Lauren had said something to him and he went, bummer. Bummer.
It's this, he has a bit of a look that's a bit older than, like his style is a bit older than his age.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he looks like a put together version of what we would have dressed like when we were his age.
Yeah.
Do you know that makes sense?
Yeah, totally.
So bummer goes along with it because that's a phrase of, that's a more Gen X type phrase and he's more millennial.
The other was Kevin, or Tyrone saying to Kevin, sorry, there goes me sticking my size 8s in again.
Yes.
And Kevin says, the saying is size 9s. But I'd take a size 8. He's like, the saying is size 9s. Which I like.
I quite like that.
Good.
Yeah.
And of course, my other favorite one was Evelyn. It's probably the same as yours.
Which one? I have one Evelyn quote down.
When Evelyn says to Fizz, all the men and women are merely players.
Oh,
all the world's a stage, and all the men and women are merely players, but except for Hope, who controls the theater.
Yes, who owns the theater? Funny. Yes.
Yeah.
No, I did a different one.
Oh,
so,
okay.
My one with Evelyn to Fizz when they were talking about Hope is they were talking about the fact that Hope had dumped Sam for Jack.
Okay.
And Evelyn said, I suppose he can't hold a candle to the pyromaniac 2 doors down. I also liked, on the same theme, Tyrone saying to Fizz on why Jack and Hope shouldn't be hanging out together. She doesn't need someone with a box of matches helping her along the way. Because we just brush off Hope's multi-arson.
So much happens on Coronation Street, Shannon, that we can't be bogged down by the details and be shocked at arson and murder and affairs and adultery all the time. Just move on.
Other little moments I liked. I appreciate the fact that at Jack's house, they're drinking their coffee, their tea out of 2 Webster's Garage mugs.
Yeah.
However, they have someone over. So there's 2 Webster's Garage mugs and 1 normal mug.
Normal, nice
so
mug.
They don't want to take a third.
No.
It's not all the mugs at their house.
It's too much.
I also like that Fizz was sniffing the milk before she poured it in the tea, probably in case some nefarious person says the milk's off, sending her to the shops.
That's right.
But she sniffs it, decides, okay, puts it in the tea, and then just puts the milk jug back on the counter. That's why you have to sniff the milk.
It's a British thing as well, isn't it?
Yes.
Just use your refrigerators, people.
I also, Lauren set a new record, even for a Gen Z, for getting a new phone in the box.
Up and running.
Well, she doesn't have her SIM card because that was stolen with her phone.
It's her phone, yeah.
And within about 60 seconds, she is logged in and deleted the email.
Got the phone up and running. She's chosen her settings and she's logged into her accounts.
Remembers all her passwords since she has no access to password recovery.
That might just be the way it is now. Maybe it's just us. Maybe we're just old.
And I think one of my other favorite quotes and scenes was Kirk to Rita and Brian at the bar in the Rovers. He was waiting to get his 15 pence change back.
Okay.
And when he got that back, he said to them both, "Oh, sorry if I gave you the impression I was going to keep you company, guys." And off he went with his pint.
That's pretty good.
But I will say I can't say it's a nice moment because they're both bad uns.
Yeah.
But I really appreciated the Mason and Betsy scenes because they...
Did you?
Yes,
I didn't.
because we realized that these two know each other from school.
And they're both...
they're both probably sitting in front of the headmaster's office in trouble at school all the time.
And they're both from middle-class families, are they not? Isn't Mason from middle-class family?
I think he is. Yeah. So they both went to Weathy High, but obviously weren't... we're comfortably off. But I like that even Mason was like, I can't remember what he called her, like something like no good Betsy or big trouble Betsy or something.
It was
probably alliterative.
Yeah, it was bad to the bone Betsy or something.
Bad news Betsy or something.
Bad news Betsy.
But I did appreciate, I thought that was a very good, accurate depiction of their relationship. They're people who knew each other, but maybe hadn't really hung out. And now they both are kind of on their own.
Yeah.
And they're both hanging out in a new area.
Yeah.
And so I liked it.
That's good.
Even though they're both trouble.
Well, there you go. That's kind of you're caught up with all the storylines that matter. Coronation Street.
all the storylines you made note of.
Exactly. Yeah. Those are the ones that are good ones.
Yeah.
Just so you know what the good stuff is. Yeah, so thanks for watching and or listening. Again, you can find us at weatherfield.ca. That's weatherfield.ca. You can sign up with your email there. And you'll get an email notification every time there's a new episode of North of Weatherfield, the Canadian Coronation Street podcast. You can also find us on your favorite podcasting platform as well. Or you can just ask your Amazon device, like Shannon's mom did recently.
I don't know if she did it again last week, though. She might have only done it once.
Was she out? She's like, ugh. Stuart did the notes.
Maybe. No, you can do no wrong.
That's true. Ugh, Shannon probably did the notes. There you go.
Well done.
Thank you. Did all right, didn't I? Yeah. Me and the robots. The robots did an all right job. There you go. So we'll see you guys next week. Thanks so much. Take care. See ya.